gentlemen, the Flash is back, season 9. God damn, Wednesday ever after. It's your boy Icon with some DC TV, thank heavens, because it's been a while. It's been a long while, and we've missed our DC TV. And this is bittersweet because it's season 9 of The Flash, and it's one of those situations where you know we're going into the final season, and for all us fans of The Flash, like, we're sad, to see The Flash go. But at the same time, you're like, damn, it's been 9 years, so it was bound to end eventually. So it's gonna be a wild ride, and let's get right into it, because there's so much stuff that's going on, and like they're basically gonna use the Flash to end the Arrowverse officially. More on the Superman and Lois thing later, but it's interesting because I know that characters are coming back. I know which characters are coming back, but I tried my best to stay away from like spoilers and everything because I don't want to know when they come back, what time, what episode, and where they're placed. Like, I don't want to know the storyline about when they're coming back. So let's let's kick this off and get into the season 9 of The Flash, the final season. And Joe was there, and I was like, wow, because I heard Jesse L. Martin, he got a gig on another TV show, so I was surprised to actually see him in the beginning. But more on that later because they found a way to tie in and give him a respectable exit. So the episode starts in good old Central City, where the Flash is kicking ass, taking names, fighting a lava monster. And then not only is he fighting the lava monster, but Cecile, who's the most powerful metal on the planet now, she's there. Joe West is there. Killer Frost, we thought she died. Killer Frost is there. Chester P, my podcast colleague Justin's favorite, absolute favorite character, Chester P. Allegra's there doing the Allegra stuff. Everybody's there except Cisco. And they're taking down the lava monster. They defeat the lava monster. And then Team Flash is like, yes, but then everybody starts dropping and dying one by one. And then Iris appears out of nowhere. And then she's just like, oh, Barry, you couldn't save us this time. But then like she drops dead. And then Barry's like, no. And then he wakes up and he's in the bed, at the law. So now he was obviously dreaming. And, because he was dreaming, he was freaking out. But then he sees Iris next to him, because this season takes place literally like a few weeks after season 8. Because Iris and Barry, they took a week off. Because at the end of last season, Iris was still at work because she helped Homegirl find her mama, who was trapped in the Mirrorverse. And then the Flash had presented the girl with her mama. So Iris was actually at work at the end of last season. So at some point she took a break. Her and Barry basically took a week off, and they basically, stayed home together, and they did what married couples do. Barry wakes up from his nightmare, and then he immediately goes to look to this magical book that he created, because Barry, while I guess the whole week that him and Iris were, chilling, he created a book cataloging events in history based on things that Nora told him, Bart told him, Jay told him, Gideon told him, things that he's seen himself, this, that, and the third. He's cataloging every single thing that's happening. And he's able to do it in a way where he can put the pieces together to find out what day certain things happen or what certain events happen to trigger certain things. So he says to Iris, he didn't tell Iris this yet, but then he says to Iris, he's like, hey, you're going to have a good day at work today, and no matter what happens, don't forget to say yes, and he leaves. Obviously, Iris is like, say yes to what? She has no idea what he's talking about, but then she says whatever, she goes to work. She goes to work, she speaks to Allegra, and then that's when Allegra hits her with the bomb, to the point where, and we got a lot of references. And that's the thing, like, it's going to be interesting to see which characters from which Arrowverse shows pop up or who gets mentioned, because everybody's all on one Earth now, so we can't act like these people don't exist. But we get a Cat Grant reference where Allegra tells Iris that Cat Grant called asking to purchase CC Media and have it under the Catco umbrella. And she said she would basically give Iris a blank check to the point where she can do whatever she wants to do. And then that's when Allegra was just like, oh, this is the start of like your amazing career where you can win a Pulitzer and you'll expand CC Media and blah, blah, blah. So then, Iris was just like, well, shit, that came out of nowhere. But then she started thinking about what Barry said earlier. And then she told Allegra, she was just like, you know what, I'm gonna think about it, and, we'll come back to that. And Allegra was like, okay. So then Barry, he goes down to work. He's talking to Kramer. I forgot all about Kramer. And then Kramer was just like, oh, Alan, we've recommended you. Well, Barry said that he wanted to be recommended for the lead CCI position for Central City. And then Kramer said, I was actually going to talk to you about that, because the old guy, like, he's up for retirement, and as long as you can handle being the Flash, then I'll let you do it. So then Chester P, he gets an alert that there's a meta downtown doing some meta shit. Barry goes down there dressed as the Flash, and then we get, I want to say a returning Captain Boomerang, but we were also told we're getting new versions of the Rogues this season. Now, the original Captain Boomerang, Mr. Harkness, the last time I remember seeing him, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was on Arrow the last time I saw him. He was locked away in Oliver's Lian Yu prison. And the episode where Adrian Chase blew up the island, I believe he was on the island when that happened because he was working for Prometheus. He was working with Adrian Chase. But when the island blew up, I don't think they ever said what happened to him. Like, I don't, because they didn't put him back in prison, because once the island blew up, they gave up on the island. But they never actually said what happened to Harkness. I don't know if he escaped, like if he blew up in that. But anyway, so now the Rogues, as we knew them before, they're gone, and we're getting new versions of the Rogues. The first version is Captain Boomerang. The Flash shows up to confront Captain Boomerang, and then he's just like, yeah, I'm Captain Boomerang. And then that was another thing. He was just like, yeah, I'm Captain Boomerang, like there wasn't already a previous Captain Boomerang. But then Allegra and Chester had pulled up his file, and they was like, yo, this is just some random dude. He used to get his ass beat in Iron Heights, and now that he's out of Iron Heights, he's trying to prove that he's the big bad man on campus. He stole a portable particle accelerator that Cord Industries, we've been teasing Cord Industries since season 1 of Arrow. Just put Ted Cord on the goddamn show. Like, y'all been teasing Cord Industries since day. Like, Cord Industries has been teased more than Diggle being the Green Lantern. I just wish they would just hire an actor. Like, he doesn't have to wear the Blue Beetle costume. For the love of God, just hire an actor to play Ted Cord already, because I'm tired of y'all bringing his name up. But anyway, the machine that Ted Cord had built, Captain Boomerang's trying to steal the power source out of it. So he goes in, he takes the power source, Barry interacts with him, this big explosion happens, Barry gets hit with some residual energy, Captain Boomerang disappears, and then everybody's like, what the hell? And now Barry's brilliant response to the fact that this meta just stole some technology and then disappeared into God knows where, he was just like, oh well, guess we weren't supposed to catch him today. And he's just like, tomorrow's another day, guys. He said, why don't y'all take the rest of the day off, and I got dinner plans with my wife. And then they looking at him like, really, dude? Like, he was just like, yep. He's like, guess it wasn't our night. And then he goes home. So he goes home, and he's talking to Iris, and then Iris straight up confronted him. She was like, yo, did you know about the cat Grant thing? And then he was like, yeah. And then that's when Barry shows her the book where he's just like, oh, I cataloged our entire future together, so this way we could be protected from the good, the bad, and the ugly. And immediately, like, Iris's face completely dropped, and she got mad, and he had no idea why she was upset. And I'm like, dude, it's been 9 years. You know damn well why she's upset. He just didn't want to hear it because he had convinced himself that this was the right thing to do, because like he said later on in the episode, he was so afraid of losing Iris, because if you think about it, the last 3 seasons of The Flash, Iris was either trapped, missing, or dead. So he just got to a point where he's trying to protect her at all costs. And that's why he created like the book, so they can like see the events as they come. But naturally her response is, if you're basically going to tell me what my future is going to be and how it's going to happen, because he told her, he said, you're supposed to say yes to Cat Grant, and that's how you expand, like the CC media. And then she was just like, well, shit, like she wanted to choose for herself. Like, she doesn't want to be told she's supposed to say yes to Cat Grant. She wants to make that decision on her own. So naturally she got upset, rightfully so. And then he was just like, I don't know why you mad. And then the two of them went to sleep. So they wake up the next day. And then when they wake up the next day, they're just like, have a good day and blah, blah, blah. Iris goes to work. And then the exact same conversation that Allegra had with her the day before about Cat Grant happened again. And then when Barry went to work, Kramer said the same exact thing with being the new lead CCI. So now Barry's all fucked up, because when Barry came in, he thought that she was changing her mind about the thing, and she was just like, bro, I never even recommended you. And he was like, what? You can't do that. And she was like, whoa, check your tone, bro. And then Iris was just saying to Allegra, she was like, didn't we have this conversation already? And just like Oliver Queen in the Elseworlds crossover, Iris's first thought was, she was like, shit, Barry, what the hell did you do? So Barry, he gets the alert about Captain Boomerang again. He goes down there and he's like, bro, didn't we already do this? And then he was just like, no. Captain Boomerang fights him. He ends up taking out the machine. He ends up taking out the battery. Barry tries to blast the battery, touch the battery. The battery explodes. And then Iris and Barry wake up in their room again, and it's still February the 1st. And now we're in a Groundhog Day situation. And I like the fact that both Iris and Barry, as soon as the two of them woke up and saw that it was the exact same day, they were just like, shit, we're caught in a time loop. Like, it wasn't this whole thing where they spent like half the episode like, gee, what happened? It's the goddamn Flash. Y'all been doing this for so long, you know a time loop when you see a damn time loop. Also, how many time loop episodes has the Arrowverse got, for Christ's sake? Like, Legends of Tomorrow had one, when the ship kept resetting itself over and over again, when Zari first had joined the team. Arrow had a Groundhog Day episode with Oliver in Oliver's final season, where he keep reliving the same day over and over again thanks to the monitor. Like, other people have, I'm pretty sure Superman and Lois had one at some point. Jesus, hell, I mean, even if we're not talking about DC, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had one. So we're doing another Groundhog episode, everybody. But this is the Flash, so at least on the Flash it made. Matter of fact, they had one on the Flash. Like they had one with Nora, because in season 5, Nora had a Groundhog Day episode where she reset the universe 52 times, and that was funny because after Nora finally broke out of the time loop, and then it ended up being the next day again, and then Barry showed up, and then to talk to her, Barry was just like, damn, 53 times. He's just like, shit. So doing a Groundhog Day episode. And, because of that, like, they're trying to figure out what they're supposed to do now. Barry was like, first of all, I think I died. And then he said that when I interacted with that battery, I think that's what caused the time loop. So he stole the battery before Captain Boomerang had a chance to steal it. And then him and Chester, they told the whole gang what was going on with the whole time loop. And then they were trying to fix it. Every single time Barry and Chester tried to fix it, it failed. Barry's Speed Force energy kept interacting with the battery and kept making the battery explode. So they kept repeating the same day over and over and over again because Barry's trying to figure out how to break the time loop, but he can't figure out how to break it because there's too much interference with the damn battery. So they did that shit like 15, 16, 17, 11 times. And then Iris has got them, Iris was having the same conversation every single day. Every day Iris was being told what her future was going to be by everybody, and it drove her insane. Day number 35 came, stuck in the Groundhog Day time loop. Barry woke up, and then he turned over, he ain't see her, and she was just sitting off in the window getting drunk, and she was like, fuck it. She was just like, look, she was like, clearly whatever you and Chester did ain't working. She was like, we keep doing this shit over and over again. And you know what? She said after the last 3 seasons of being kidnapped, dead, or missing, she was just like, it just kind of feels good to just live in the moment now and not give a damn. So she was just like, I'm just going to sit here and get my drink on, and whatever's bound to happen is going to happen. And then that's when Barry was just like, hold up. He was just like, you don't want us to break he said, you don't want to break the time loop? She was just like, no, it's not that I want you to break the time loop, but she said, I'm not going to be like Destiny's puppet. She was like, fuck it, whatever's going to happen, happen. If you fix it, you fix it. You don't, you don't. And then that's when Barry was just like, what's your problem with the book? And then that's when she told him, she was just like, the book is stupid because I don't want you to dictate my destiny. I want to choose my destiny for myself. And then that's when Barry was just like, oh, but doing this book is how we're going to save each other. That's how we get our kids. He's like, you're going to get pregnant in 3 months. And I was like, why did you say that? I was like, why'd you tell that? That woman's face turned white when he said that shit. And then, he was just like, I'm trying to do everything I can to keep our family safe and blah, blah, blah. And then she was just like, but I don't want that. She said, I don't want you to keep us safe because the events is going to happen. It's like, it ruins. It's like, I don't understand why Barry didn't understand this. And the thing is, he knows that. Like, he's being stubborn because he wants to keep her safe because he's afraid of what's going to happen to her. But he knows for a fact that every single thing she's telling him is 100% truth. But then he gets mad and then he leaves and he goes to Papa Joe's house and, Mama Cecile. He goes to their house and then, they're talking to him and they told him the same shit. They're just like, bro, that's stupid. And Joe even said to him, because Barry showed Joe the book, and Joe actually did say, he was like, well, this is very impressive. He said, but the thing is, the book tells you that these things happen, but they don't tell you why they happen, how they happened, or how people feel about it. It just tells you that they happen. And then he said that you can't predict, the future because that'll spoil the journey of life. And he was like, that's what life's all about. It's all about the journey. So then Barry feels bad. He goes back, him and Iris reconcile. And then they're like, fuck it. We tried the whole thing about me trying to fix the battery and doing separate things and you doing separate things. They're just like, let's just spend the day together and see what happens. And what Iris ended up doing, a la Joe's advice, because like he said, the book tells you that she expands CC Media, and that's when her global dominance, that's when it happens. Like, we know this. But what happened was she ended up calling good old Sue Dearborn to cut the Chizak to purchase Coast City Media that was going out of business. And because the book said she was going to expand CC Media. But that doesn't mean it has to be through Cat Grant. She expands Central City Media by buying Coast City Media and putting them under her umbrella rather than her being under Catco's umbrella. And there was even a Supergirl reference because there was a moment where Iris told Allegra, she was just like, yeah, I know about the Cat Grant deal. And then Allegra was like, what, did Kara tell you? So I was just like, hopefully we get a Supergirl cameo. But then that's how she expanded her thing. She was just like, I'm not going to do what everybody's telling me I'm supposed to do. She said, I'm still going to get to these results, but I'm going to choose how I get there. And she bought a failing company and put them on the map, and now she's about to blow this bitch up now. So then, and then the two of them were just going through the motions. They went to Kramer, and together they talked about, getting Barry the job. Like Barry was at CC Media passing out donuts and bagels and everything. They just randomly took some trip somewhere at a hotel, and they were at a beach, and they were like sipping Mai Tais and chilling. And then after they were chilling throughout the course of the entire day, they were like, oh yeah, it's 5 o'clock. Isn't it time to go catch Captain Boomerang? They go down there, they fight Captain Boomerang. When they fight Captain Boomerang, he actually actually still like Iris blasted him in the chest because the two of them spent the entire day together and did everything that they were supposed to do together. So they blasted Harkness, but then he still got his hands on the battery and he still disappeared. The problem with that is now the machine, the particle accelerator, portable particle accelerator, it's now about to explode. So then Barry, who was just like, there was only one thing Barry could think of, he ended up putting his hands on the particle accelerator and he vibrated himself and he vibrated the explosion. You know, if you ever watch Justice League Doom, the animated movie Justice League Doom, you know, when Batman like betrayed the Justice League, there was a moment where Vandal Savage was firing like a sunbeam to destroy 2/3 of the Earth. And they ended up coming up with a machine that allowed the Earth to phase through the beam. Barry basically did the same thing with this portable particle accelerator. He vibrated the blast and he phased the blast through every single person in Central City. Now, the kicker about it is they specifically went out of their way to show the phased particle. Mind you, this is the particle accelerator we're talking about. They showed you the phased cloud of the particle accelerator going through specific people. The beam was literally passing through people and people were reacting to the fact that it passed through them. And as soon as that happened, because they do this shit every other season on The Flash, as soon as that happened, I said he just created a bunch of new metas. Because we had the lightning metas, we had the bus metas, you know, like we had the particle. There's always something at the end or the beginning of every Flash season where the Flash does something that accidentally creates new metahumans. And when I saw that cloud go through those people, I said he just created a bunch of new metahumans. But we'll see. We'll see if that turns into something. More on that later. But anyway, the phasing worked, and then after the phase worked, and then he was just like, "Oh, everybody, we're saved. The world is saved." Then Allegra and Chester finally kissed, and I was like, "Thank God y'all got that over with." Because I've been trying. Like, it's one of those things. Where it's like it's not that I'm clamoring for the two of them to be together, but when it gets to the point where it's obvious that they're going to be together, it's like now I just felt like the writers were just dragging that out for no reason. I was like, "There's no reason to drag this out. Just do it already." So the two of them finally did it, but it's still a slow burn because they didn't tell the team yet already. So they finally kissed or whatever. And then, you know, they saved the city, you know, Iris West, who's married to Barry Allen, and, you know, and they're a known couple. Everybody knows who they are. They know that Barry Allen and Iris West Allen are a married couple, but yet she's seen hugging the Flash in public. I don't know why nobody said anything about that. Like, hey, isn't that Iris West Allen? Why is she all up on the Flash? You know, but anyway. So then after that, they tell the whole team about the whole thing and about the whole time loop and everything. Like, Cecile actually did call it Groundhog Day, and she was the only one. And then, you know, but then, you know, they were just like, hey, you know, we broke the time loop by just doing everything together and choosing our life, and then the timeline just reset itself. We're going with that. Like that was the reason they gave. That was the reason we're accepting, and we're moving on. So everybody went home to go do the things that they do. Joe and Cecile had a conversation because this is how you get Jesse L. Martin off the show, because he was like, it's been 9 years. And he was like, what does our family hold? And there was a moment where when Barry was talking to them about the book and about stuff that's supposed to happen in the future, Joe was reading the book and he was like, wait, you're supposed to move into our house? And then he was like, yeah, when Nora's born. And I guess because of that, that's when Joe was just like, well, shit, if they move it in the house, then it's time for us to go. So he told Cecile, he was just like, look, he said, I think you and I should leave Central City to seek new adventures. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you get Jesse L. Martin off the show. And not only Jesse L. Martin, because throughout the entire episode, Cecile, she was practicing the entire episode, you know, with her psychic powers. And they told us her telekinetic powers. And they told us over and over and over and over and over again that Cecile is the most powerful meta on the planet. If this is true, if Cecile is the most powerful meta on the planet, you cannot have this woman on the show the entire season, because if Cecile is that powerful, the moment one villain shows up, she should be able to just take them down in a blink of an eye, and that's it, case closed. You got to get Cecile off the show now because she's too powerful. So she's going to end up going with Joe, but she's going to end up popping back up at certain points of the season when they conveniently need her power. Because like I said, you can't have her on the show every single day because she's apparently too strong. Iris closed the deal with Sue Dearborn, And then her and Barry had a conversation, and they were just like, you know what, screw the book, screw Destiny. Barry burnt the book. He told her, he was just like, yo, instead of you getting pregnant 3 months from now, he was like, let's start having kids today. I don't know how Nora's going to feel about her birthday being changed, but, but that's what they're doing. They're getting the baby thing started. They're getting the kids thing started. And then that's how that particular portion of the episode ended. And then we get a Killer Frost sighting or a Caitlin Snow sighting or someone sighting because Caitlin or Killer Frost contacted Barry on the phone. Barry showed up, and then he was just like, oh, Caitlin. And she was like, no. And he was like, Frost. And they were like, no. And then she turned around and she was like, I'm something new. I'm someone new. And I forgot what happened because I know they were trying to bring Killer Frost back to life. When they did the whole machine thing, I forget if Caitlin was Caitlin trying to regrow Killer Frost inside. I forgot. But anyway, whatever she had to because Caitlin don't exist no more. So if Caitlin gone and if Frost is gone, now she's some new broad and we have no idea who she is. And honestly, I'm fine with that because splitting her and Killer Frost I thought was stupid. I liked it with Caitlin Snow transforming into another personality, transforming into another person. Like they kept saying, like I think it was Felicity that said it. She was like, "Oh, you're like the Incredible Hulk." I like that version, that version of it. But if you were gonna split the two of them apart, because maybe Danielle Panabaker, she got tired of doing all the makeup and all the other stuff. If you were gonna split them apart, the way you split them apart, you had a meta that was able to transfer power from one person to another at some point. You could have just had like a person who was like brain dead or comatose or something and then accidentally transferred Killer Frost from Caitlin into that new person and just hired a new actress to be Killer Frost. But I was like, don't have her play both characters because they kept coming up with stupid reasons for why Caitlin and Killer Frost weren't at the same place at the same time. And that was just really annoying me. So now she's both together. She's some new chick. I don't know. Maybe she's Ice now and she'll meet Fire and we'll get Fire and Ice. And then that'll be a cool way to end. But we'll see what happens. More on that later on. And then finally, in the last scene, we ended up seeing Harkness, Captain Boomerang. We see him, and then, he was just, because Joe even said, he was like, since Captain Boomerang's not that smart to pull all this tech shit off, he must be working with somebody. We saw who he was working with. He was like, oh, the Flash thinks he has family, just like Dominic Toretto, but I'll pick them apart one by one, and I'll leave him all alone. And then when he disappeared, it was basically like a shadow, like Speedster, and then when it disappeared, we saw like the Devil Bat logo. So I guess that's Red Death because Captain Singh, he brought up Red Death. It was either Captain Zing or like the magician guy. One of them brought up Red Death. So I know it's going to have something to do with Batwoman. Happy to see Ryan Wilder back on the show. I'm actually looking forward to that one. But we will see how things go. A good season 9 debut for The Flash. And thank you for tuning in. We are back, baby, with The Flash. The Arrowverse is not dead. Even with the whole thing with the Arrowverse, because I heard James Gunn, he did say that, because now that the Flash is back, the Arrowverse is basically going to die once Superman and Lois is finished, because the Flash is going to finish first. James Gunn did say that he said on Twitter, he was like, oh, Superman and Lois will get more seasons. So, and because they pulled that bullshit where they're now trying to say Superman and Lois is on Earth 2 and it's not on Earth Prime, we may be saying goodbye to the Arrowverse at the end of the Flash and saying hello to the Superman verse. If they use, since we're on Earth 2, if they use Superman and Lois to introduce new characters and new superheroes, that's how the Arrowverse can secretly still live on through Superman and Lois. But we'll see. We'll definitely see what's going on about that. I'm definitely excited. Let me know what you thought about the season premiere of The Flash. I was talking too long on this one, but it's the season premiere of The Flash, and it's the final season of The Flash, which deserves all the attention that we can get. So share your questions, comments, and or concerns down below, and we will continue to talk about The Flash. Check out the Tacos and Geek podcast, the Hour podcast with myself, Sean, Justin, and Gotham Geek Girl Nadia. On this one, we talk about Marvel Phase 4 because now that we're about to enter Marvel Phase 5, we all share our thoughts, our concerns, and everything with Marvel Phase 4 and how that whole thing turned out. Link will be in the description below. Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram as always, on YouTube where you can leave your questions, comments, and or concerns because I got some stuff that I'm trying to put together coming up in the pipeline because the weather's getting warmer and we're about to do some superhero goodness. We're going to do interviews. We're going to go places and we're going to take this whole thing to infinity and beyond. So that was it, guys. So for the first time until the last time, we'll be back next week. Check out my Harley Quinn Valentine's Day review as well. And until next time, there's some more superhero action throughout this